Alright, what's up guys, it's Phosphorm, and I'm gonna be showing you a really cool color correction that I found. Um, if you watched Phase or Obey Agony's community montage called Legendary, he did a really nice color correction, and I figured out like basically how to get the same kind of effect. So I'm gonna be showing you that. It's a color correction in Magic Bullet Lux. If you don't have Magic Bullet Lux, then I'd suggest buying it or getting it somehow, because like if you color correct to this, it makes a huge difference in your montages. So hang on, let me just delete this because I already have it as a preset. So yeah. Alright, yeah. That's what it looks like. It looks really nice, really like bright and cool. And yeah. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. So yeah, let me just wait for this to load. So first you're gonna in subject you're gonna want to drag in saturation, and it's right here in subject, and yeah. Okay, so the saturation is gonna be 70%. Um, and then the exposure compensation is gonna be 0. Just leave that the way it is. And for the component balance, the red is gonna be 0.309, the green is gonna be 0.609, and the blue is gonna be 0.082. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, you can do this in Sony Vegas too. I'm just choosing to do it in After Effects because that's what I have, and Sony Vegas isn't available on Macs. And anyway, After Effects is better in my opinion. So yeah, but Magic Bullet Lux is available in Sony Vegas too. So if you have Sony Vegas, then you can still do this color correction. Alright, so then, alright, I'm gonna go to diffusion. So the size is gonna be 30%, the grade is gonna be 6, the glow is gonna be 100%, the highlights only is gonna be 75%, the highlight bias is gonna be 0, and the exposure compensation is gonna be 0. And the red, green, blue RGB, you just leave it at 111. And if I'm going on to like any of these effects too fast, feel free to pause the video and like look at the settings, and then like resume it when you're done adding these settings in, because like I know I'm going by this a little bit fast. But then in oh yeah, I forgot to mention diffusion is in matte. Then also in matte you're gonna drag in light flex, and the boost is going to be -5. The exposure is going to be 0, and the red is going to be 0.824. The green is going to be 0.942, and the blue is going to be 1. And then in lens, you're going to want to drag in vignette. So the center X and the center Y are both going to be 0. You can just leave that alone. The radius and the aspect are going to be 1 if you just leave those alone too. But then the spread is going to be 0.750. The fall off is going to be 0.5. The strength is going to be 75%, and the exposure is going to be 0. And then you can just leave the RGB at 0. I think that's what it originally starts at, so you can just leave that at 0. And then also in lens, you're going to want to drag in edge softness. It's right here. And, yeah. So for the blur size, you're going to drag, or not drag, you're going to set it to 2. And the quality, you're going to set it to 3. And then for the center X, you're going to want to put it at 2.7. And for the Y, you're going to want to put it at 100. And then for the radius, you're going to want to put it at 1.823. The aspect, you can just leave it 1. And the spread can be 0.265. And again, you can just, like, adjust these settings depending on what, like, feels better or looks better. These are just the settings that I go with, and the settings that look best for me. But, oh, and also, if you have the new version of Magic Bullet Lux, you can have, an aspect and, like, a couple of extra settings that, that the older Magic Bullet Lux didn't have. It doesn't really matter with the aspect, because like the aspect I just leave it at like what it comes at every time. And also another thing to note is in post you're gonna have lift gamma gain, but that's not available on the new Magic Bullet Lux. So like you can just go into looks and look for like a color correction preset that has lift gamma gain in the post section already in it, and you can just delete everything else and just leave lift gamma gain for later and just change the settings later. But and in camera you have grid exposure. So the stops is going to be 0.60 and the x1 and x2 are going to be 0 with the y1 and y2. Well, the y1 is going to be a negative 50% and the y2 is going to be positive 50% and the fall off is just going to be 0.5. And the RGB you can just leave it all at 1. And for the curves, like you can't copy my settings like exactly. You could get it like a little bit close to what I have, like, yeah. So like the curves you're gonna wanna it starts out like a straight line. You're gonna wanna drag the top one up until or the top two up until they form like an arch like above the line. You're gonna want to leave the middle one the same. You're gonna want to drag the bottom two down so they form an arch. So it's gonna look like an S like that. And the red, green, and blue, I think they just stay the same. Yeah. And now we're on to post lift gamma gain. And the gamma space is going to be 2.20. The strength is going to be 100. And the exposure compensation is going to be 0. Then in the lift, you're going to want the red to be 0.917. The green to be 0.899. And the blue to be 1. And then in the gamma section, you're going to want the red to be 0.953, the green to be 1.020, and the blue to be 1.027. And then the gain, you're going to want the red to be 1.293, the green should be 0.994, and the blue should be 0.713. And again, I'm just saying, like you can adjust these settings to what feels best for you. Like it doesn't have to be like exactly like this. You can make it a little darker, a little lighter, or you could just like leave it the same. Alright, and then you're gonna click finished. And there you go, there's your color correction. And if you don't wanna save if you don't wanna save this if you don't wanna keep referring back to this tutorial to learn how to do this color correction, I'm gonna show you how to save it. You're gonna want to have the looks. Make sure you're in the effect controls, and the look should be highlighted in gray, and the looks, only the look should be highlighted in gray. So then you're gonna want to go to animation, save animation preset, and then you can name it whatever you want, and then you can just drag it into whatever folder you want. And I know I'm not the best at tutorials. This is my first tutorial, so just leave your feedback, and hopefully I can get better. Alright, it's been my first tutorial, guys. See ya.